Hey everyone, welcome back to Learnify. In this video I'm going to be going over IB Biology, topic 9.4, plant reproduction, and plant reproduction has a whole lot to do with flowers. So I thought, why not, let's draw a flower. And this is not the type of flower you draw in art, but we're going to draw an accurate biological diagram of a flower, step by step. So first thing you want to do is probably to draw what we call the sepals. Now the sepals are the structure that sort of, I thought at first, looked like the petals, and many people I know have also said that it looks like the petals, but it's indeed not the petals. The sepals are these outside layers that sort of protect the plant, and they can be very large or they can be very small. And here I'm going to draw them quite small relative to the actual petals of the flower. Petals of a flower are very, very promiscuous. Flowers are meant to attract pollinators, so they have to stand out, so that pollinators see the flowers and think, okay, that looks like a yummy snack for me. There we go. So this right here is the petal, and they're generally brightly colored, and it's aimed to attract pollinators. So pollinators are animals like bees, sometimes some types of bugs, wasps even, and the sepal is to protect. Sepal is to protect the developing flower. And one of the more important parts is the female component of the plant, sometimes called the carpel or the pistil. So it goes by two different names, and it's the structure that looks like this. So this right here we call the ovule, because that's where the plant female gamete is actually going to be set. And this right here, this long thing, is called the style. And this right here is called the stigma. And these white stuff put together comes to be known as the pistil / carpel. That's the female part. Now let's go over the male component. We have these long parts that end with things like this. These things are called the anther, and this long thing is called the filament. So now that we've gone through what a flower looks like, let's go over the reproductive parts. So the reason I went over the petal and the sepal and the functions before I went through the carpel functions and I forgot to mention that the male part is also called the stamen. So I haven't gone through the stamen and carpel parts because these are the reproductive parts. And before that, I wanted to say that this is something we call a complete or perfect flower. Let's call it perfect. So a perfect flower has both the stamen and the carpel. So that means that it can self-pollinate. That means the anther can have pollen. So the anther produces pollen, that's the male part. And it can put it to its stigma and self-pollinate. So that's one of the advantages of plants, I suppose. But they could also be considered disadvantage. Advantage in that it can quickly proliferate. Disadvantage in that there would be less genetic diversity. So anyways, the stigma acts as a sticky. You can think of stigma and sticky top for which pollen can attach. The style is a tube connecting the stigma and the ovule so that the pollen can actually travel down to the ovule itself. And the ovule contains the female reproductive cells, so gametes, and it will develop into the fruit after fertilization. The anther is the pollen producing component, so it produces pollen, which is the male gamete, and the filament holds the anther, so structural support. So pollen, in terms of self-pollination, or just self-pollination, occurs where this pollen, let's do pollen in yellow. It can, a bee or some other pollinator animal can see these bright leaves and come in, and once they feed on, there's a nectar generally, which is nutrient rich in the anther region. So the pollinators themselves are not saying, okay, I want to help this plant out. They're trying to look out for themselves, right? They're trying to look out for their own benefit, but what they do is they rub themselves in this pollen, and as they move by, they scatter those. So if there's a bee, say there's a bee, right? As it moves around, it scatters the pollen down, and what it does is sticks to this stigma. And after sticking to the stigma, it can actually undergo this process by which it forms a pollen tube, and the pollen tube grows all the way down until it meets the ovule, and it can form a seed. To form a seed, you need both the pollen and the ovule to combine, and after the seed has formed, the ovule undergoes a structural change which makes it a fruit. And because it's a fruit, what happens is that the fruit is going to be eaten by another animal. And this animal that eats the fruit is going to defecate the seed somewhere far away generally, like bats. Bats may eat the fruit and fly for hours and hours until they defecate the seed. The advantage of having a fruit is that there's no competition for resources between the parent plant and the growing baby plant, because the baby plant will be put somewhere far away, it can gain its own nutrients. So there's not much love between plants and their children. Anyways, guys, that's going to be the end of this video. If you guys like this video, like and subscribe. I wanted to go generally over the structure of a flower, but once you get into this stuff, you sort of have to explain the functions and how it fits in together. Leave a like, subscribe, comment anything you want me to make a video on. And as I like to say, my channel is quite new. It's a small channel, so you don't have to, but a like and a subscribe would really go a long way. And thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next video.